So hi everyone, thank you for spending time with me today and welcome to my e-commerce and alternative selling methods webinar. My name is Christopher Garcia and I'm the Business Development Specialist at the SBDC at UNM Valencia campus. I also have with me today Leslie Everson. She is a coordinator of this webinar and she will be here to field questions if you have any. I created this webinar based on a great article called Selling Without a Store by Tamara E. Holmes. And you'll receive a copy of the article after the presentation. It usually takes me 1 to 2 days to send that out. My contact information is going to be on the next slide, and a PDF of the slides will be emailed to you following the presentation. You should also expect a follow-up email with the links discussed in today's presentation, so don't worry if you miss any. Progress here. There we go. Here's my contact information. Here's a cool little graphic right there about e-commerce, and we are going to go over ground rules while we wait for the rest of our attendees. Before we begin, let's go over some webinar ground rules. Everyone on the call right now is muted, so don't worry about background noise. There is a feature to raise your hand, and I'll use it to make sure that the webinar is flowing and everybody's paying their undivided attention to me. So right now, let's see by a show of hands, I'm going to open up the participants, how many of you could see and hear and are ready to go for the webinar? Good. Oh, good. I'm not going to have problems with this group, I could tell. Very good. I'm going to lower all your hands now and I'll ask you questions throughout. So please get those hands ready to go. If you have any questions, please type about the presentation. Please type them into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and I'll answer the questions at the end of the presentation. In fact, let's see if everybody could use the Q&A. So if you could use the Q&A, just please email me a hi, hello, hola, whatever you feel like emailing or putting in the Q&A box. Oh, well, hello, Lisa. Hello, Julius. Hello, Juliana. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Rosemary. Good, perfect. You guys are zooming like pros. Each slide is numbered, so include the slide number with your questions. And you guys are doing good already, so I'm very pleased. Let's move on. Here's some training offerings. I think this is an old slide. I haven't updated it, but we are offering numerous trainings, and that they could be all seen at www.nmsbdc.org under our workshops and webinar tab. So if you want to see our most up-to-date schedule, visit that and please do register. We have some of the topics we have coming up are PPP loans and employee retention tax credit. That's on demand, I believe. Cybersecurity is in progress, and basic steps to starting a business, which is right after this one. So take advantage of the numerous resources available to you at no cost or low cost. Perfect. Let's see here. Let's go over our objectives. Here are the objectives and the agenda for this webinar. I'll explain how the SBDC can assist you, introduce you to a marketing plan, introduce methods for taking your business online or selling in another way, and provide practical resources to assist your business with an online presence. It's a lot to cover in one session, but I think everybody on the call is up to the challenge. And you could always meet with your business advisor or your SBDC Center Director for further guidance in these areas. Perfect. Here's a graphic of our center locations throughout New Mexico. The mission of the SBDC is to build skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses by offering no-cost confidential business counseling and lower no-cost training events like this one. You'll notice a small blurb on the bottom of the slide. It's right over here. And this is the disclaimer from our stakeholders, the Small Business Administration. Now I'm going to tell you more about the SBDC in the next few slides. Let's talk about the services of the SBDC. We offer two major services, the confidential business counseling and the lower no-cost business trainings. And there are no limits to how much no-cost counseling or trainings you could receive. We have centers throughout New Mexico, so there'll be one close to you. If you look at the graphic in the upper right-hand corner, it shows what we strive to do: renew, grow, launch, and start up small businesses. We welcome you to our statewide trainings, like this one, and to participate in our center's webinars and workshops. And our centers will be putting out their listing of workshops. I'm working on it now, but the center-specific webinars should be up by April 1st. Right now, we are focusing on COVID-related webinars. So if you are affected by COVID, please attend as many of those as possible. And now I want to tell you, let's see. This slide shows what we expect from our clients. My fellow business advisors and center directors want you to succeed. So you'll be assigned homework or further research. So please do the work necessary to succeed. We can't make decisions for you or offer tax or legal advice. We could only connect you to the information you need to make an educated decision. And part of making an educated decision is working with licensed professionals like attorneys and accountants. Finally, I want to remind you about important surveys we send out as part of you attending these events. Everyone who registered for this webinar received an email from, it's most likely Leslie Everson, saying, in anticipation of the upcoming e-commerce and alternative selling methods webinar event that you have registered for, we would like to collect some preliminary information from you. With this information in hand, we can tailor the course material to better fit your needs. So I want to see by a show of hands, how many of you received this? We call it the pre-survey. Okay, very good, very good. Now we're cooking. I'm going to lower everybody's hands. You will also receive a survey after this. It's a review of this webinar, so please do both. And if you have any questions or need another copy of those surveys, please email Leslie Everson at leslie.everson@sfcc.edu. And you could also email me, and we'll be happy to send those out to you. Cool, cool. So let's dive into it. So before we begin with the marketing plan, I wanted to see by a show of hands, I'm going to open up the participants. How many of you know who your target market is? How many of you have it written down and know who either your target market or your target markets are? Oh, good. Gosh, I see about half of you have it down. I'm going to go over it with you guys anyway. Oh, good. You guys are good. So let's see. Why is a marketing plan important when changing or adding selling methods? It's because online sales is all about identifying your target market or markets, analyzing your product or service offerings, creating a profitable price strategy, and successfully distributing your product and service. And that's probably the hardest part. And then effectively promoting your products and services if you need to. Every activity you do in business should align with your target market or markets, because there are customers, these are the customers most likely to purchase your products, aka those customers you don't mind spending money on. If you think everybody in the US is your target market because you're going to sell online or you're going to sell in a different way, think again. You'll most likely go broke promoting your product to everybody in the US. So create the perfect customer in your mind, then describe him, her, or it. I'll also show you a great research tool offered to you at no cost by the SBDC, and that will help you identify your target market or markets. And let's use an example. For example, there's a person in Belen. She makes and sells clothing, but she hasn't had any business because of COVID-19, so she wants to take her business online. Her ideal customer is a woman with a household income of 100,000 plus, because these are handmade clothes. Purchases high-end clothing and shops online. If the clothing she sold was Western wear, she might look for women with interest in bull riding, farming, country music. There's probably even a selection for an interest in Western wear. If her products are modeled after famous country music singers, she might want to target those people who listen to music of Taylor Swift. Now that we've identified her ideal customer, we can tailor her products and services to their needs and wants. The research tool I'll talk about later suggests the most popular products in women's clothing are accessories, tops, bottoms, dresses, and outerwear. This person has also been selling products in the store, so she knows what products are hot sellers, high profit items, and unique to her store only. It's important to keep your online inventory very lean because you are charged per posting, per photograph, per sale. It's also very time consuming to photograph these items, write compelling product descriptions, post them online, accept orders, ship the orders, and handle returns and exchanges. So choose your products wisely and most importantly, profitably. So we're going to go over the 4 P's. So we did product, we're going to do product, price, place, promotion. So price. Price is also a very important factor in online sales. You may have lower overhead when selling online, but you have other costs to think about like posting fees, payment fees, monthly subscription fees, yearly website fees, website or online store maintenance. If you can't do that yourself, you might have to hire somebody. Time for fulfilling orders, because you could become more people could be ordering online for you, especially right now, than in store, and you might have to spend a lot more of your time fulfilling those orders. You have to dedicate time for customer questions and emails, and time for returns and exchanges. It also entails navigating through websites, online marketplaces, and payment processors. Do you have the skills to do this, or do you need to hire somebody? There may be other online sellers selling products for more or less, so research the selling price online. There are 2 common methods for setting a price: cost plus, which is figuring out the exact cost of a product, and that includes time you spend shipping and receiving, maybe manufacturing time, all kinds of stuff goes into cost plus, and then you put a markup on that. So say I'm able to get a widget for $2, I'm able to sell it for 10. The markup is about 500%. Very good. And then there's market pricing. So market pricing is if you sell something, and most of the time it's like a luxury watch or luxury car, the market sets the price for you. So when we were at the height of the pandemic, I remember beans went from $20 for a 30-pound bag to $30 for a 30-pound bag. So that's an idea of market pricing, whatever the market is willing to pay. If you have a unique product, you can set a price by figuring the cost and adding a markup. If you sell a common product, you can research the selling price online on online marketplaces by visiting store websites and doing Google shopping searches. We are selling online, so why is place or distribution important? It's because we have more choices than ever for selling products online and fulfilling orders. You can choose to sell your products from your website, use an online marketplace, offer pickup and delivery, or use a third-party app for pickup like Amazon Hub. And I thought it was interesting that they actually have an Amazon Hub at All Subs in Los Unas. I thought that was very progressive of All Subs. They used to have a newspaper machine, but now it's a Amazon Hub. So after figuring out our product price and place, you can think about promotion. There are more ways to promote your business than ever before. Some common methods are blogging, creating a website, personal selling, which is probably my favorite and most cost-effective, social media marketing, which is ever more popular, word of mouth and reviews, and other media. When picking a promotion method, keep your target market and budget in mind, the budget especially. Some interesting ways to promote your product online include paying or giving free merchandise to bloggers and vloggers to promote your product in their article or video. This is called influencer marketing, and it's ever more popular, especially with those who only sell products online. And so I want you to think about unboxing videos and lifestyle experts. I really do get a kick out of those unboxing videos, especially when people order things from those online clothing places that pick clothes for you based on your interests, Stitch Fix, something like that. And people unbox, and not all the time are they very pleased with their clothes. Using social media to pay for ads, and I'll show you an example of that. And if you want more information, put that in the Q&A, and I'll use the time at the end to show you that a little bit more. And the most important is claiming your business's presence on search engines and actively seeking reviews. So that's like Google My Business. Yahoo has a place where you could claim your business's search presence. So does Bing. For the women's Western wear store, our owner might consider sending a YouTube lifestyle expert some of their merchandise to promote their products, or just to use them or wear them, using Facebook ads to target women with our selected interests, country music, bull riding, whatever, in places where Western wear is popular. And you could find that out. You could do some research on that, and I'll show you that later on. Or sending a postcard to repeat clients and letting them know you have an online store. But that would mean you were keeping a list of them before. After making those decisions, think of promotional goals like reaching 100,000 viewers for a Facebook ad. Track the results and calculate your return on investment. So this person spent $100 on their Facebook campaign, reached 75,000 viewers. So the cost per viewer is less than a penny. And I think that's a pretty good return on investment. To learn more about marketing, please take the SBA's Marketing 101 webinar and use their worksheets to identify items we discussed. And I want to show you that Marketing 101. I do a marketing class, but I do it in July. And it's based off the same thing. I took a half-an-hour class from the SBA and I made it into an hour class to be more efficient, of course. And if anything you do today, it's to use the worksheets they have available for you in this marketing webinar to do exactly what I told you. Identify your target market, talk about your product, price, place, and promotion. So here's what the SBA's training looks like. It's really cool. They're like 3-4 minute videos, and it goes into a bunch of modules. And then they have the worksheets right here. And my two favorite worksheets, because they added a bunch of worksheets right here, are the Marketing 101 checklist and the Marketing 101, a guide to winning customers. And the checklist will identify the 4 P's of marketing, and it will give you some ideas on how you could track that marketing, those marketing activities, and calculate your return on investment. And it gives you some insights that you might not think about when you're thinking about your ideal customers. And then the guide to winning customers is basically what we went over. It's identifying your target markets, and then the 4 P's. And if you do one of these for each product or for each service you offer, I think you'll have a much easier time promoting your products across the web, especially. And then this gives you examples on the common ratios for calculating your return on investment, lifetime customer lifetime value. And some of these are better for service businesses than they are for product-based businesses. But if you need further assistance on that, please reach out to one of our advisors or to me, and I'll be happy to work with you on that. Let's return to our slideshow. Okay, we want to learn about online marketplaces versus websites. Perfect. Let me move my little Zoom controls out of the way. So I want to see how many of you, by a show of hands, let me bring my controls back. I want to open up my participants. How many of you have a storefront now? Or were selling out of a storefront and want to move online? Very good, very good. And how many of you have a website right now? Oh, perfect. You guys are a little advanced for me today. I'm going to lower all hands and then we'll talk about it. Let's talk about selling online. Many people think it's less expensive and easy to sell online, but it's not always the case. You must research your options, fees, and staffing to make sure you have the time and manpower to succeed to sell online. There are 2 options for selling online. You could sell directly from your website using a third-party site like Shopify, or using an online marketplace like Amazon, Etsy, or eBay. The pro of selling from your website is you save on marketplace fees. So you're selling directly from your website. You're just setting up the payment and collection of information on your website. The con is you're doing all your own marketing, your own search engine optimization, your own website maintenance, you're tracking orders on your own, and you're taking on the liability of processing and storing sensitive data. Using an online marketplace is easier because they process payments, track orders, create policies, market your product across the web to their existing customers, and have an established clientele. So think if you wanted to, if you made hand knit sweaters, you could create a website, you could create a way to process payments, you could create a way to sell online, but how are people going to find that website? You could opt to sell on Etsy. People are already visiting Etsy. The only thing different you might have to do is you might have to find a way to differentiate yourself from the tons of people selling on Etsy already. And there are ways to do that. If you don't have a website already, you have to create one, whether you use a web designer or an online website builder. There are 3 components to every website. So there's the domain, the code, and the hosting. So the domain is the web address, the www.whatever.whatever. The code is what we see when we see the website. It's the design of the website. And just like we build a house with pieces of wood, we build a website with code, HTML code. And the host is the person responsible for storing that code and hosting it so people can see it on the web. And it bothers me because there's these 3 components of a website. A lot of times they are open for fraud, scams, and my small business owners get scammed, especially with the domain. All these have costs associated with them. They're either reoccurring or monthly or annual payments. You have to maintain your account and you have to choose your provider wisely. When opting to sell online, ask yourself if you have the process and staff to successfully sell online. There must be someone to list items, change prices, photograph your items, write product descriptions, maintain a website or e-commerce profile, return customer emails, fulfill orders, ship orders, and handle returns and exchanges. Each marketplace is different and you could use one or many, but they all require time. And like one of my favorite bands says, your garden will never grow unless you bless it with your time. Fees run about 10% for product listings and payment processing. Some marketplaces have monthly fees when using a business account, and adding videos, extra photos, or paying for SEO or keywords all have fees associated with them. So make sure you're only doing what you're able to handle and afford. Don't waste money posting items across all e-commerce sites using an e-commerce management software if you're only selling 10 products a month. Keep the interest of your target market in mind and use those distribution channels that appeal most to them. So if you were going to sell things mainly to women and higher incomes, Etsy might be better for that. If you wanted to reach a more general audience, probably eBay. If you had a niche product, I know there's a lot of sites like Etsy and eBay specifically for artists. You could see if those sites are working for you, and you could consider using one of them. I wanted to tell you, go into a little bit more about the 3 parts of a website, because the domain is open for fraud. So when you buy a domain, you don't actually get to buy a domain, you get to lease a domain. It's like leasing a piece of property. And you do that through a domain registrar. And there are certified domain registrars, GoDaddy, Bluehost, Squarespace. Those are 3 of the ones that pop to mind. If you order a domain or you lease a domain through a third party that's not a licensed domain registrar, they could buy the domain name for themselves and then lease it to you. And then if you ever wanted to transfer your website somewhere else, use that domain in another place, they tend to sell it to you for a hiked up price. So when you're purchasing a domain, you should be paying about $40, $50 for 3 years, maybe about $12 a year if you buy it yearly. The code, you could opt to have somebody write the code for you. You could use something like Weebly, WordPress, Wix. I like those Weebly, Wix type software for creating websites. They call them WYSIWYG, which stands for what you see is what you get. And if you're pretty savvy on the computer, you could do a website like that pretty easily. And then you pay for the hosting. So that's just someone to keep the code in a server somewhere and then host it so it's available to see on the World Wide Web. And you could buy each of these components separately, or typically, if you go with some place like Wix or Weebly, you do it all in one place. You buy your domain there, you create the website there, and then you host there, and you do one monthly payment. I recommend maybe you buy your domain somewhere. You could buy your domain at GoDaddy, then you could use it somewhere to in a WYSIWYG builder like Wix for the code and the hosting. But each of these components you could purchase separately, and it's just best to be aware of it, especially if you're going to work with a web designer, so you know what they're charging you for, because these online terms and ideas tend to be a little abstract, in my opinion. Here are some of the popular e-commerce sites, and all of us may know about the first three: Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. There are many options vying for your money, so choose your marketplace or your marketplaces wisely. Very carefully, and always keep the interest of your target market in mind. Since online marketplaces make more money as you sell more product, the bigger ones have great learning resources and customer service, so keep that in mind. In the follow-up email, I included links for Amazon Sellers Academy, eBay Sellers Guide, and Etsy Sellers Educational Portal, and Shopify Seller Academy. They also have great blogs and seller events. I actually attended a seller event from Amazon. It was Amazon Boost or Amazon, something like that. It was awesome. So say you sold and mass-produced women's handbags. Amazon might be a good option if you're manufacturing in bulk and selling in bulk. If you sold women's vintage dresses, eBay may be your main portal. Finally, if you sold hand-knit women's cardigans, Etsy would probably be your best bet. Sites like Shopify and e-commerce marketplaces that offer web design services or connect easily to your existing website. Sites like Shopify are e-commerce marketplaces, but they allow you to create a website. You could actually create a website on Weebly and use Shopify as your marketplace. So that's just a little bit of a difference between something like Amazon and something like Shopify. Shopify gives you a little bit more versatility, but you still are using one main place to list and sell your products. Large WYSIWYG website builders offer e-commerce apps. So for example, Wix has a few e-commerce apps, WordPress has a bunch of e-commerce apps, and Weebly works mainly with Shopify. Okay. Oh, I like this example, Clamato. When selling online product photography is vital to your success. As you could see from the image on the left, it is bad lighting. It isn't very attractive versus the picture on the right that has good lighting and photo effects added. And who knew that buying something like Clamato could be that important with the photograph? The difference speaks for itself. If you don't have experience with product photography, take a look at Shopify's article, the one I have there, the Definitive Guide to DIY, Beautiful Product Photography and the Beginner's Guide to Product Photography. Take a look at those. You could use stock image websites like Leslie Everson on the line today. She showed me Adobe stock photo. There's Pixabay. There's Google image search. There's a lot of different ones. It's just you have to be very careful with the rights to these photographs. Or you could ask a wholesaler if you wholesale products from a wholesaler, or if you retail products from a wholesaler, they might have photographs of the products already that you could use in promotions. You could hire somebody, or you could go local. I'm sure a lot of photographers are hurting right now because of the regulation they have on gatherings. Or you could go on an online independent contracting service like Fiverr, Upwork, TaskRabbit, and they might have somebody who will do product photography for you for not that much money. And I want you to be careful when using photos found online because they may be copywritten. So I want to go into an example for you. Let me go into get out of this, and we'll go to Google's image search. Let's see, what do we want to search for today? Say I sell scissors. And I wanted to find just an image of scissors so I could use in a flyer, or from a brochure, a postcard, Oh, I actually own these and I love them. Say I wanted to sell scissors and I just wanted this picture right here. It might be copywritten by LIV, Living Go. So the only photographs I could use from a Google search are the photographs that have a Creative Commons license. So if I wanted to find something that I'm able to use, at least on Google, I could go to Tools, Usage Rights, and I could look for the Creative Commons licenses. And of course, since these are pictures that aren't copywritten, they're going to be a much less than there would be if you did the regular search. Oh, good, nothing vulgar with scissors. I always have a hard time finding a search when I don't get anything too vulgar. So if you were doing this with something like I was researching the goddess Seti, or the clairvoyant Seti, as you could see, there are a bunch of pictures of Seti, but they may be copywritten. And then when you go to the tools and you go to the Creative Commons licenses, there are only two, or there's only one picture that you're able to use. So that's why you might want to use a stock image photo gallery. And then I think I have, let's see, from current slide. I think I have an example here. Yeah, this is Adobe stock photo. So if you're wanting to use a picture on your website, you're wanting to create something a little bit more custom, you could buy a monthly subscription to this, or you could buy image rights per image. They're about $40. And then you're allowed to use them across the website. You're allowed to use them across media. That's just a little quick tip on advertising right there and promotion. Okay, let's get to the next part of it. Along with a product photography, writing a compelling product description is vital to the success of your online store. So here's an example of good and bad product descriptions for the same item. The one on the top is from a private seller on eBay, and the one in the bottom is from shopchuka.com, because we're talking about Chuka boots. The bottom description is appealing to their target market, which happens to be women who want to buy boots. It's very descriptive and it uses keywords to increase search engine optimization. Keep those things in mind when writing compelling product descriptions, and read the article, How to Write a Compelling Product Description. And then there's another one, 9 Ways to Write Product Descriptions and Inform and Persuade Your Customers. And these links will go up in the follow-up email. There are lots of opportunities to better sell products with great descriptions on sites like Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. I've noticed this through my personal shopping on Amazon. You could tell many of the sellers don't speak English as their primary language, so things get lost in translation, especially with, I was looking for some pruners, and they had a very, very weird description of pruners that we probably wouldn't describe pruners like that in the United States, or they don't provide the buyer with information they want. So I like to make iced tea, so I was looking for a heat-proof pitcher so I can make iced tea right in the pitcher. Most of the measurements available on Amazon were in the metric system. And of course, we don't use the metric system in the United States. So you could see how that could open up opportunity in that market. Always keep your target market in mind when writing this description. These happen to be women's rain boots in that example there. So think about what attracts a woman to these boots. Where will they wear these boots, and what about their buying interests and behaviors? Also use compelling keywords. Keywords are a big thing in all of online advertising. Facebook, Google, Amazon, Etsy, they all use keywords to help you better sell your products. Keywords are words that search engines and databases closely associate with the product or service. So if I were to talk about boots, I might use keywords like waterproof, leather, rubber, comfortable, durable. Chuka in the bottom example use sleek, plush, waterproof, rubber outer sole, self-cleaning, and rainproof. So think of these keywords because they're very, very important, especially in online advertising and how you show up in online marketplaces. So so now that we talk about online selling, let's discuss pop-up shops and flea markets. This is part of what Tamara Holmes talked about in her articles. She wrote it in 2012, by the way, so she was way ahead of her time. I group these together because they have many of the same requirements. They just cater to two different markets. Pop-ups cater to high-end markets and flea markets cater to a more general audience. Pop-up shops are a lot of work and take lots of planning because you have to follow state, municipal, and county license requirements, get proper inspections, purchase insurance, it's optional but vital, and takes lots of market research and planning. Pop-up shops are usually used by established brands and are a great way to take your online product to a storefront, test a new product or product bundle, and test a location or a demographic. Let's take a deeper dive into permitting and licensing by looking at the SBDC at UNM Valencia's quick start sheet. So let me open that up. And this is a sheet that me and my former director, Wayne Abraham, put together. And it just outlines the paperwork requirements for starting most businesses. And then it gives detail about how to contact the local and municipal offices. The regulations and okay, so let's start from the bottom up. So first, if you're going to start your business and you haven't started it already, you usually want to start something like an LLC. I don't have many people come in as wanting to start sole proprietors. And you don't need to do this if you're a sole proprietor. But all of the corporations are filed through the Secretary of State's office. You are going to need an EIN number, which is the number you'll use to create a bank account, and you'll use this instead of your Social Security number on things like your tax returns. And then you absolutely need a gross receipts tax ID number. The gross receipts tax regulations for selling online are very complicated, and the gross receipts tax requirements for people who travel. So in this example, it's a pop-up shop. I might have a storefront in Belen, but I might want to set up a pop-up shop in Santa Fe at one of their events that they have there, or maybe there's a great museum and you want to sell things related to that museum. And then you need a business license. And if you're selling at a pop-up shop, you're going to need a temporary or a full license. So the rule of thumb for that is if you're going to sell, say you're in a food truck, you're in a pop-up shop, you have a storefront, you have a presence in Belen, New Mexico, you want to sell in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you're going to be there for one day or 3 days, you might want to get a temporary license. If you're going to be there for more than 1 day, just get the full license because it'll be cheaper for you that way. And it's vital for you to make relationships with these local organizations and know exactly where you're selling. Because if you're selling in Los Lunas and you're on the far east side or the far west side, you could be selling really in Valencia County, not Los Lunas proper. So knowing where you're selling, getting that piece of commercial property to lease is very important. So the regulations in most municipalities or counties for temporary vendor permits were created in the 1910s and 20s and governed businesses like revivals, traveling carnivals and circuses, and door-to-door salespeople. So that tells you how long it's been since these have been looked at. So government hasn't caught up with commerce in this example. So you have to create those effective working relationships with local governments in your chosen area. So now let's take a look at some pop-up shops that I thought were kind of neat. Let's look here. So whenever I think of a pop-up shop, what comes to mind immediately is the Spirit Halloween store. And if you grew up in the Albuquerque metro area, you might have seen, these usually pop up in vacant storefronts around town. And it's a great way to test a storefront if you have a new product or you're offering a product that's only available online. And I always remember the Grim Reaper with the Spirit logo on it. And in this case, they sell Halloween costumes and props and decorations. So as you could see, that works well. They have an online presence all year round. During the Halloween season, they go out into a storefront and they'll pop up as a pop-up shop. Here. West Elm, many of you online might be a fan of West Elm. They're an online decorating store. And they actually have a pop-up shop in one of Canada's high-end department stores. So they're taking their products, everybody, they have a big following online. So now they're going to take their products into high-end department stores. So this could be Macy's, for example. Martha Stewart took her products to Macy's. But that's an example of how this successful online store took their products into a storefront. And they just pop up for a certain amount of time, whatever they think is profitable for them. Mene is an online jewelry store. They sell jewelry for investment. And here's an article about them. They went into Selfridges in London, I want to say. Yeah, they started a pop-up shop in Selfridges. And if you watch PBS, you might be familiar with Selfridges. It's a cool little store. And that's an interesting proposition there. Making these partnerships that work well for your online business are very important. And then my favorite of them all is the Cheetos pop-up shops in New York, in the West Village of New York. So Cheetos hired mostly as a publicity stunt, but maybe to get some of their products out to that group or that demographic in that area. But they hired a celebrity chef to create recipes using their Cheeto products. And then they opened up that pop-up restaurant. But if you were going to open up a pop-up restaurant, remember, you're going to need all the permits and inspections that you would for a normal restaurant. You're just doing it for a limited time. And those, right almost before lunchtime, I wanted to make you hungry with that Cheetos example. And you could read that article if you want, if you're interested in that. Okay, we're doing good. Let's move on. Let's talk about food trucks. Just like with pop-up shops, food trucks and carts are permitting intensive and require great logistic skills. In order to operate a food truck, you need to be in compliance with the New Mexico Department of Health as a mobile kitchen, and this requires using a commercial kitchen as a commissary. So you have to have a physical presence with a food truck, and that has to be at a commissary. You could rent space from another commercial kitchen. Oftentimes churches or other public institutions have commercial kitchens for rent. And then after you find a commercial kitchen, you have to park that food truck. And this means contracting with a property owner or manager for a piece of commercial property. You have to create a contract and lease the space, because if you go to apply for a temporary vendor permit, they're going to ask for the lease of the commercial space and consistently park in that area. You should consider a location with lots of traffic and a high concentration of your target market. And I'll show you how you could look at those traffic counts when we get to the research tools. This type of distribution is great for testing a new product or for an established brand testing a location for a new business. It's important to make a good working relationship with your chosen area's planning and zoning department, because they can make or break a business deal. For example, the restaurants in Belen went up in arms when the mayor of Belen started offering food truck Fridays, because they felt that he was taking business from them by letting food trucks in. So think about those things that you might not think about otherwise. I mentioned target market earlier, and you need to draw awareness to your new business, and this means promotion. How are you going to reach your target market, especially if you are in more than one location? Do you need a website, social media? Do you need to do a postcard or card mailing? It depends on the market research you do and the target markets you serve. Let's see some examples of local food trucks using online tools to advertise. And I just looked these up in my local service area, which is Belen, Osuna, Socorro, Mountaineer. And I often see this taco truck parked out in front of they lease a piece of commercial space on Main Street in Los Unas, which is a high traffic area. And I often see them parked there. What I think is great about what this food truck does is they have an online presence. They have their own website. They have their menu here. They also have a schedule of where they're going to be parked and when. And I think that's a food truck using their online resources very well. Other than parking in a high traffic location and making everybody hungry as they drive by on Main Street. Here's a food truck that visits this area with only a Facebook page, and they use the Facebook page as their website. And I think with this, a place does good is they probably sell their products are a little bit higher priced than what you would get, at a fast food, quick service restaurant sort of thing. But they make them look very, very appealing in their pictures. And then they're able to put a schedule of where they're going to be. Oh, those waffles. I better go before those waffles drive me crazy. And then here's another food truck. And this food truck also only uses Facebook as their online presence, which I think is totally fine. If you have an online presence at all and you're able to find these things, that's what you're going for here. And they haven't updated their food truck in a while and their online presence in a while. It's good to be consistent with that and update as many times as you can. But they also make their food look very attractive on the website. And if you're going for something like a food truck, you don't have that ability to really have a dining room and show off your customer service and your product. So this is a great way to do it. Okay. Okay. So I've been talking about these research tools in previous slides, so I want to demonstrate them for you so you can see how helpful they can be. And I'm a data geek, so this is my favorite part of the webinar. So let's jump into it. So some of these databases are available for free online. So that would be something like Census Business Builder and COGS traffic counts. And some are available only to SBDC clients, and they're very expensive. That's IBIS World, Mintel Marketing Database, Data XL, which used to be Reference USA. Those are databases that the SBDC pays for, and they're very, very helpful. But if you were to buy stuff from them, they'd cost you a lot of money. So make sure you're taking advantage of those by getting with an advisor or counselor to help you out with them. So now let me show you some of the research tools. Let me close some of these links I have open. And I like to use the ones from the university library because they're easier for me to log into. But across the state, all our business advisors and directors have access to mainly the same ones. So let me show you IBIS World. IBIS World could help you find your target market, and it could help you make good investment decisions about starting a business or your existing business, because these are reports put together by economists, and they predict how an industry is going to do over the next 5 years. So since we use food truck as an example, let's use food trucks again here. And I like to download the PDF and go over the PDF because it has more information than the online one. So let me move it, make it a little bit bigger for you. And I'll go over the key things that I like to go over when I pull one of these reports. So the first part of it's the supply chain, and the important one for me, these are called key external drivers. I like to call them key economic drivers. So for food trucks, it's consumer spending. So as consumer spending goes up, so will hopefully will the profits of a food truck. Consumer confidence index, which just means how the population views the either optimistic or pessimistic view of the economy over the next few years. Healthy eating index, I'm guessing as healthy eating index goes down, people start shopping in food trucks. Urban population, and agricultural price index. And then this is also an important feature. It tells you who the first tier and the second tier buyers are for the industry. So in this case, there's only first tier buyers, and it's straight to customers in the United States. And here are your suppliers. And now you could see why agricultural price index is important in this industry. There's a bit of a delay, so I'm going to stop my video, see if that hurries things along. Okay, here we go. So then as we go further into this report, we could see which of the external drivers are growing or declining. So it looks like for the agricultural price index, and this is 2015 to 2020. So this is kind of this isn't the most recent report right here, probably because of COVID. So there's annual growth in revenue in that industry. You might hear about the V-shaped recovery in the news a lot. There's that V-shaped, everything tanked during COVID-19 and is predicted to go up and stabilize to probably about where it was right before COVID. Annual growth in the industry over the next 5 years. It doesn't look like this industry is going to grow very much over the next 5 years. Profit margin is 4%, so that means that 4 cents out of every dollar you make should go into the business's revenue. And this looks like it's going to decline over the next 5 years. And that V-shaped recovery wasn't that bad for this industry. The number of businesses is going to increase 5.3% over the next 5 years. Employment's going to increase slightly over the next 5 years, 4.4%. And wages are going to increase a little bit. There's that V-shaped recovery, and then things are going to stabilize a little bit. You also get that nice SWOT analysis. Another important part is the product and service segmentation. So if I was going into, if I had a restaurant and I wanted to open up a food truck, or if I just wanted to start a food truck itself, I would probably want to cater to the product and service segmentations in this report, because they are the most popular products sold across the United States. So American food, Central and South American food, mixed ethnicity. Asian actually used to be number 1. So I guess American food beat it out a bit. There's the SWOT analysis. Here's that industry performance with that V-shaped recovery we hope to have. And remember, when you start a business, this is an investment of your time and money. So think about it just like you would have investing in a retirement portfolio. So food trucks, let's see what industry they're in. They're in the quantity growth. So that means there are more going to pop up over the next 5 years, which when you're in the growth phase in the business life cycle, that's a great time to enter the industry. And then there's our product and service segmentation. And then there's 2 more things I want to show you. One is going to be your target market. So here are your major market segmentations for this industry. And most of these reports have it. If you are in a more specialized industry, they may not. But most of the larger industries, retail, restaurants, they have these market segmentations. So it looks like you're catering to customers mainly 25 to 44. So this is where you want to spend your time and money and your promotional dollars, or maybe 55 and over, depending on where you're at, what market you're serving. But those are the 2 largest markets for the food truck industry. Just gives you a place to start. And then it looks like California has a lot of food trucks, Texas and Florida. Probably because they have large urban populations compared to the surrounding states. And then here is some cost structures and benchmarks from the Risk Management Association. So the Risk Management Association puts out data like this. So they could gauge the risk for taking on an industry, say for a loan or for insurance. So these are really the benchmarks in your industry. So you should expect there's that 4.4% profit margin. You should expect to spend that much in depreciation. So if I was going to make $100,000 in sales, I should expect to fall into these percentages for each of these costs. So rent, let's see, rent's about 22%. So if I made $100,000, I would be spending about $22,000 in rent. And those are the main parts of the IBIS World Report. I think these reports are very exciting. These reports help you make sure your investment is secure. And they are offered free to clients, but they would cost about $800 and up if you buy them yourself. My next favorite database available to you from the SBDC is Data Excel, or it used to be called Reference USA. So that's still how they refer to it. But this is like a phone book on steroids. So let's use an example. So maybe your business cater, maybe you're a wholesaler, so you look for other retail businesses to sell your products, or you could sell directly to the consumer. So if you were selling online, that's most likely what you would be doing here. And you could use the consumer lifestyle search. Let me go into that one because that one's kind of neat. And our counselors are here to help you with this. So if you're not a data expert, don't worry about it. But it's good to know what you're looking for before you do the search. So most of the time we want to do a city or state-based search. Sometimes we do zip codes. I like to use zip codes for this example. And I'll use the top 3 richest zip codes in Albuquerque. We only want 1 per household. And let's see, we want to, so estimated home value, these are the selections that are common for people who want to do marketing like this. So the 2 main ones are the home value, which for my tradesmen, tradespersons, that would be the best bet. For my retailers, my restaurants, estimated home income is better. So we probably, since we'll use the example that I've been using in the slides about households, the women's clothing in Belen. So this person wants to target people with household incomes of 100,000 plus. We could look at some lifestyle characteristics. Maybe these people, let's see what might be some good ones. Purchase behavior might be a good one. We probably don't want bargain seekers. If we're selling online, we want to look for those internet purchasers for sure. And then we could find some others, consumer snapshots. But if I only do the selections here and the lifestyles, we could pull actual names. So if you wanted to do a postcard mailing, we could find names of people in those zip codes that match. Oh, and there's a lot of people in those 3 zip codes that match the criteria we choose. And you can't legally call them or email them, but you could send them a letter. If you wanted to call or email them, you could buy a list like this from either Data XL or another company like that. They cost, at Data XL, they cost for 5,000 contacts, for 5,000 emails and phone numbers, it costs $1,000. If you wanted to see, if you're doing some planning, maybe you want to see where should I put that storefront, and you wanted to get into the consumer snapshot, we could look for age. So we probably want to see, how many women who are internet purchasers in those income groups between the ages of 30 plus or 35 plus. In those zip codes, we want to do gender. We want to find these women. Let's see if there are any other helpful ones. I can't pull the addresses for you, but we could create a table by estimated home income and zip code. So you could start to see, if I wanted to do a storefront, where are these very, very wealthy people hiding, very wealthy women hiding? And it looks like I might want to go to 87111 because there's 270 there. Let's see, the largest one would probably be in the 114 of people making $100,000 to $124,000 household income a year. So you could just start to make those decisions. Where would I want to park my food truck if I was catering to, so maybe I made French pastries and they're a little bit more expensive. I might want to park in 87114. Maybe I want to park in 87111. I could also do that, where are people drinking? And I'll show you that with Census Business Builder. So Census Business Builder is free. It's a service of the Census Bureau. And it's really cool for those of you wanting to find markets or explore your current market. So we'll use food truck in this example. Again, there's these links, these quick links. So if you wanted to, if you're in a common industry, you could choose them. If not, they use NAICS codes, and these are 5-digit codes. If you don't know your NAICS code, reach out to your advisor, and they probably do. Say we want to do that zip code 87111, and we wanted to create a report. I'll show you what it entails. Gives you some demographics about these customers, and of course, if you're selling certain products, you want to know the demographics. If I was selling things to, say, African Americans, I may not want to go to this zip code because my demographic is just not there. If I was doing something in retail or restaurants, I'd want to see what the median household income is. And the median household income in the United States is about $46,000. So these people, the people on average in this neighborhood or the zip code are above the average household income. So that's good to look for when you're in those industries, food trucks, storefronts. Let's see what else we could derive. We could see the number of housing units. If I was a tradesperson, I'd want to go to where the housing units had a very high value. So that, ooh, that's a ritzy area, and they're pretty new. My favorite of this all, and this is where you could really get information about that market. In this zip code, they have consumer spending per household per year. So if I wanted to see how much somebody for my food truck spent on dining out for lunch in this zip code, they spend $1,226.03 per household per year on average in that area. So say I'm in Belen now, this is 87111. Let's go to Belen. 87002. I got ahead of myself here, guys. I could start to see that the populations, just in that one zip code, we could compare. So there's more people in that one zip code than the whole zip code of Belen. So I know that's probably an urban area. The median household income is almost double of Belen. So if I had a restaurant right now in Belen, I wanted to really try to increase my sales. I could put a food truck, I could sell online to this neighborhood. But how are you going to cater to this neighborhood? The housing units are almost double in that other zip code. And then the expenditure on food, on lunch is almost double. So if you wanted to get to these markets in a less expensive way, selling online, pop-up shops, food trucks are a good way to go. And you could start to explore areas that you want to cater to. See which areas have high median household incomes, have high median home values, have high populations in your target market. And then the last one I'll show you is the free one. This is COGS traffic counts, and you can see I go there a lot. And this is from the Mid-Region Council of Governments. The traffic counts are under the interactive map, and I think I have the link directly to the traffic counts. You just have to click the interactive map. And then you could access the interactive map. It's kind of hard, it's kind of hidden in there, so I'm glad you guys are with me today to see it. So if I was going to do a pop-up truck or food truck, or maybe find another location for my a storefront, let's go to Belen, because I like to use Belen as an example, because I love Belen. We could start to see wherever there's a road highlighted in this orange-yellow color, they have traffic counts for it, and they go by stretches of road. So say I'm right now, I'm on First Street. I could see what the average weekday traffic count is and the average daily traffic count is, ADT versus AWDT. It looks like they didn't have, I hope there was not 0 in 2013. I hope they just didn't do the counts back then. But as you could see, the average weekday traffic count in, I think 2018 is the most current data we're going to have. 197 people pass that location a day. That's probably not my ideal location for a storefront. Let's see what they do on River Road. So the average weekday traffic count, 16,286 people pass down that stretch of road a day. And you could start to explore these traffic counts. I thought Mesa Road, because if you're familiar with Belen, Mesa Road's a lot of neighborhoods down Mesa Road, very pretty area, higher home values. I thought there would be a lot more people than that going down Mesa Road. And then you could see Camino de Llano. A lot more go down Camino de Llano than go down Mesa. And you could start to explore things like that. I would probably want to go to the storefronts with the thick orange yellow lines, because that's where there's a lot of people passing. Okay, I want to leave some time at the end for Q&A, so I want to get through the rest of the research tools are kind of my favorite, so I like to go over those. So let's move on. So using social media as a sales and marketing tool. Many people come to my office to tell me that social media marketing is going to change their business outcomes, and that's far from the truth. I want to show you that when and why about social media marketing by concentrating on Facebook, since that's what I'm most familiar with. Before you begin any social media marketing effort, do market research and put intense thought into your target market or markets. If you don't know who you're serving and what they like, you will not have success on social media. The target market on Facebook tends to be women 35 to 55 years with higher incomes and a typical consumer interests. If you have a retail store or restaurant, this is a great place to start. When you dive into social media marketing platform, think about using their paid advertising services and learn how to use them. And they go by keywords and demographics. Facebook also has a great learning resource called Facebook Blueprint. And if you want to use Facebook as a marketing tool, take advantage of these free learning tools. Facebook runs on viewers' attention and interaction. So the better you know Facebook, the better you are able to advertise on Facebook, the better they do. And they might even make a buck or two off of you, right? And there's the link to Facebook Blueprint. They also have a great newsletter called Facebook IQ. And it's free learning about how to do Facebook advertising. So take advantage of it. Some other awesome resources. So some other helpful resources are listed on the slide. My favorite and most practical is Google My Business. And I want to really stress that for you. So Google My Business is Google's. Many people are in Google. Half the people who own cell phones in the United States use Android, which is Google. It's where you claim your Google My Business profile. Social Media Examiner is a blog that features social media market experts giving great advice. New Mexico Internet Entrepreneurs is a Facebook group created by Barb Tomlin as a forum for New Mexico Internet entrepreneurs to connect, get helpful tips, and post new ideas. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center and SBA websites have numerous free learning opportunities, useful articles, and great documents. So please visit these websites to take advantage of your taxpayer-funded resources. The New Mexico Bar Association is a database of attorneys who pass the bar exam, and they also have a service where for $35, they'll find an attorney to work with you and give you a 30-minute consultation. And then we talked about COGS. The New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Department has great online learning opportunities for those of you new to online selling, because gross receipts tax for online sales is complicated. And the IRS has a great self-employed tax center, so you know what your federal tax liability is. And it's very important for things like public shops and online sales. Okay, I wanted to go over some COVID safe practices with you since this is a COVID webinar. This slide is a collection of links from some of the most accurate and reputable information about COVID-19 for employers. The first link is to the New Mexico Department of Health's guidance for employers. The second is for New Mexico Safe Certified program. This is a free interactive learning module about how businesses should operate during COVID-19 restrictions. The third link is OSHA's publication on employer COVID-19 safe practices. The fourth link is information about COVID-19 from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The fifth link, and most important in my view, is an article by the EEOC, the Equal Employer Opportunity Commission, called What You Should Know About COVID-19, the ADA, which is the Americans with Disability Act, the Rehabilitation Act, and other EEO laws. We are in an ever more litigious society, so this is a misread for everyone on the call today, especially those employers. Finally, the sixth link is for newmexico.gov, where you could find the most up-to-date state information related to COVID-19, as well as lending and grant opportunities. And don't forget about no-cost webinars and counseling services offered by the SBDC, SCORE, and SBA. And since you have been so good for this entire webinar, I'm going to chat a bonus resource. Friend of the ASBDC, ComplyRight has numerous free learning resources. So I'm going to, let me see if I could chat that over. So ComplyRight. So if you have any questions about human resource management, human resources, I'm going to go to, we're going to go to the e-guides and ComplyRight. They sponsor the ASBDC, and they are an online human resource consultants company, but they have a bunch of these free guides, and I'm going to chat them out to everybody since you were so good. Okay, let me start from this slide. Now that we talked about how we can help you, this is how you can help the SBDC. As part of offering our services, we need your help to ensure our services are around for many more years to come. So we ask that you participate in our surveys, report economic impacts because of our assistance to your advisor or director, and write a letter of support to local legislators about your experience with the SBDC. All information is kept confidential and is only reported in aggregate to our funders, the State of New Mexico and the Small Business Administration. Perfect, perfect. We covered a lot of information. So let's review what we learned. Market research and planning is important. You now have the resources you need to make better educated marketing decisions. So take an hour each month to do SBA's marketing plan templates to make your plan. Know your target markets. This is the least you could do before you spend any money or time on promotional activities. Do you have the skills to set up and manage an online store? Now that you know the major activities involved, does this seem like something you can do? Did you think online selling was so labor intensive? Now you know. So do you have the staff to answer customer questions, ship, and handle returns? If you want to start a pop-up shop, are you able to meet the state, municipal, and county requirements and tax requirements for your venture? And most importantly, are you prepared to handle the extra cleaning requirements, mandatory capacity limits, and ever-changing regulation for our public safety requirements during COVID-19? What if your pop-up shop had to close 2 weeks because somebody tested positive for COVID-19? Would that kill your entire project? Those are things to think about. Here's a list of our SBDC resource partners. SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives, WEST, otherwise known as the Women's Business Center, and VBOC, the Veterans Business Outreach Center. More resource partners. Here's the Small Business Development Center, the SBA with their resource guide. And their resource guide outlines all their lending programs. So a lot of you come to my office just for SBA loans. If you look at this guide, it will give you more insights into the SBA loans. And on page 27 are a full list of SBA lenders. And the most common ones for new businesses or those who are maybe struggling in business are the participating certified development companies, the community advantage lenders, and the participating micro lenders. And then the New Mexico Economic Development Department, which is the GoNM.biz website, which has a lot of great resources. And we have concluded. I want to take time to do the Q&A, and now I'm going to put my video back on. Do I have an ending slide? We'll just stay on that slide and let's look at the Q&A. So let's see, Julius. You asked about a marketing plan and target market. I was browsing IBIS. Can you discuss the difference between demographics, psychographics, infographics, and geographics and how we apply them? Some of the charts can be difficult for me to interpret. Okay, so demographics are basically, if you go into an area, it's going to be the racial breakdown, age breakdown. So the things related to the people, think of those when you think of demographics, think of age of people. Are they veterans? Things like that. Psychographics are their interests. So you're going to think about, are they interested in online shopping? Are they credit card spenders? Infographics are just those pretty little graphics they put, like where we saw the V-shaped recovery. And geographics is where people live. So what zip codes are those people with 100,000 plus household incomes living? And it's 87114, 87120, and 87111. And they are difficult to interpret. So if you need help with that, Julius, just make an appointment with me or one of the advisors in the system, and we're sure to be able to help you. Okay, Wendy asks, can we get a copy of that link, please? SBA Marketing 101. Yes, it is included in the follow-up email and it's in the slideshow, and I will send a PDF of that slideshow. Wendy asks, will we get a copy of these slides? Yes, you will. You surely will, and maybe I'll bring up that follow-up email so you guys can see what I'm going to send out to you. Here, I'll show you the follow-up email so you guys see what you're gonna get in the follow-up. It's also a sneak peek at a online email marketing platform called Constant Contact. If you want to learn more about email marketing, visiting Constant Contact's blog is a great way to learn more about that. MailChimp is another big one. Wix has their own email marketing platform as well. I promise you there's going to be an email eventually on the screen. Okay, so this will be the email you get for the follow-up. So you have here's the webinar documents, quick start guide, basic steps, webinar slides, which I haven't uploaded yet. Basics of choosing a business entity, selling without a store by Tamara Holmes. There's the marketing 101 and the marketing plan stuff from the SBA, e-commerce, product descriptions, photography, marketplaces, eBay Seller Center, Etsy Seller Handbook, and Amazon's Start Selling as an Individual, Alternative Selling at City of Albuquerque Food Truck Permitting Guide, New Mexico Environment Department, Pop-Up Shops 101, that's by Shopify. Pop-Up Shop Ideas, I believe that's from Shopify too. Research tools, there's the COGS traffic map, there's Census Business Builder, and if all else fails, you could always contact the UNM Bureau of Business and Economic Research. That's Susan Reagan. She knows everything there is to know about research, and she will be happy to help you. And other awesome resources, there's Google My Business, and if there's anything you do for your business today, it's to claim your Google My Business profile. Facebook Blueprint, and here's your COVID-19 resources, and there's that Comply Right blog link that I chatted over. And then here's our resource partners, should you need to reach out to them. And then let me get back to the Q&A. And Lisa asked, are there any resources for businesses that sell a service only? I wouldn't. Social Media Examiner is really good for that, Lisa. And selling services is just like selling a product, having that research. So if you go on something like Census Business Builder, you want to find markets to sell your service to, you could probably find a consumer expenditure, or if we're in Data Excel, we could find a buying behavior or a lifestyle characteristic that might match, and we could see where people are spending that money or where those people are. That might be the most helpful to you. And Wendy says, thank you. Well, thank you for attending. Thank you all for spending time with me. I'm going to be on for the next 9 minutes. And I'm happy to answer your questions. If you want to speak a question, please raise your hand and I will allow you to speak, and then you could unmute your microphone and speak.
We have a couple webinars coming up, Chris, that might do a different aspect of the that she was talking about on getting her stuff on her, just doing it on Zoom. We have one on the 23rd Tuesday, the secrets to adding online revenue streams. That's going to be at 12.
Let me bring them up on our website, and
Okay.
As you talk about it. Thank you, Leslie, for giving us tips about these webinars. Okay. Go right ahead. I'll let you scroll, Leslie.
Oh, okay. I am not the best at this, and I should be getting better. But if you go down to, am I scrolling?
You are. You're scrolling.
Okay, good. I'm like a. Let's see. That's coming up this week. Let's see what we've got. This one right here, the Eric Spellman on the 23rd, is what I was thinking she might be interested in to. Yeah, right here.
Oh, the secret chat. Yeah, Eric Spellman's a hoot and a half, and he's very he runs that online marketing company, and he has great insights about anything online marketing. He has a great website. Let's see if you want to take a sneak peek at one of his webinars. Eric Spellman. It's his name, ericspellman.com. And then under videos, he has a bunch of videos, and he's a hoot and a half. So take the webinars, look at one of his videos. You'll be pleasantly surprised. What other webinars did you want to promote, Leslie?
Well, this one you covered a lot with alternative selling methods and e-commerce, but just to remind everyone, this Thursday at 12, we have Larry Donahue with important legal considerations of selling online. And that is going to be the 18th.
There it is, the legal considerations when selling online.
Yes. So if you're looking for more information on that aspect, that might be a good webinar too.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a great webinar. And tax questions, you might be able to address them in there. Perfect. Let me open the Q&A. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very good. And let me see if anybody's... Oh yeah, Lisa says Census Business Builder. That's my favorite one. And they have an interactive map in Census Business Builder. I don't quite like the map. I like the report, but if you're a map person, it's definitely good to explore. And you could pick things like you could look at the map based on consumers who spend X amount on dining out on lunch, or what's another good one? Dating. There's one selection called dating services that always gives me I get a kick out of. Also, we have what is the Small Business Assistance Partnership or program coming up. If you need technical assistance from a scientist at the labs, this is an information session about what the New Mexico Small Business Assistance Program does. So consider that one. I'm looking for anybody who might want to raise their hands. Anybody who...
We have another question that's come in.
Oh, thank you. Can you repeat the information about selling services in addition to Social Media Examiner? Yes. Social Media Examiner is good. Let's look at the... let's look at this slide, which is awesome resources. So if you sell online and you want a website for free, you can't get the full bang up from your book from Google My Business if you're only an online, if you only have an online presence. But if you're a service provider, need a website, and don't want to spend that much money, Google My Business offers a free website for you home-based or not physically located business owners. Social Media Examiner gives you a lot of great insights into the latest in social media marketing. And for somebody who does a service, typically services, you know, personal training, things like that, Social Media Examiner could have a lot of insights for you. New Mexico Internet Entrepreneurs is a great group. That's Barb Tomlin. She has great connections and she posts great resources for those of you who sell products or services mainly online. And those would be the top ones that I recommend for somebody who sells maybe a service instead of a product. And of course, the Census Business Builder, which is a great way to find new markets. Very good question, Wendy. And then if you want to understand your tax, the taxes are always a brain teaser. New Mexico Taxation and Revenue has those twice monthly workshops for new employers and gross receipts tax, and the IRS Self-Employed Tax Center offers IRS Taxes, the virtual webinar, and gives you everything plus you might need to know about federal taxes. Oh, very good. Thank you, guys. Thank you for spending time with me today. I have a great time doing this one, and then I will be doing basic steps to starting a business coming up in about an hour? No, half an
30
hour.
minutes.
30 minutes.
I'm here to remind you.
Very good. So we're about 2 minutes till, so you're free to leave if you want to leave. I'll stay on for another minute if you have any questions. Oh, Julius, that's fine. You come in when you're able to join. And then we have, thanks. See you in, oh yeah, see you guys in half an hour. I'm glad you're going to that next one too. I have my coffee and my voice is nice and lubricated, so we're good. And with that, I'm going to tell you all goodbye. See you soon. And if you have any more questions, reach out to Leslie or me, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you, Leslie, and I'll see you in a few.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.